Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, July 16. Jordan to Rangers, transfer hope. Report by David Irvin. Juan Jordan has been told his future lies away from Seville, despite the La Liga club rejecting a loan offer from Rangers. The 30-year-old midfielder was targeted by Philippe Clement in a loan move, but the approach was knocked back by Seville on financial grounds. It is thought Seville rejected the loan deal due to the fact they would have to cover a significant portion of Jordan's wages. However, reports in Spain have suggested Rangers could return to the table with a new offer. Jordan has cut his holiday short to try and impress at Seville and earn the right to play at the club again, but sporting director Victor Horta has told the player and his representatives that he is not part of the project. Horta told ABC, "They have been told that they are not part. We respect their contracts, but it is better for them to choose other options." The club informed Jordan's representatives of its intention. "We thought that his cycle had ended. It has been very clear to him." His representatives had a meeting with the club, and it was clearly stated. Fabrizio Romano claimed over the weekend that an approach from Rangers was rejected with the deal off due to the financial stumbling block. However, Spanish reports have suggested a new offer could be received by Seville for the player. The La Liga club have also thrown out an offer from Alaves for Jordan. Jordan is under contract at Seville until 2027, and the club are willing to hold out until they receive a permanent transfer offer or loan deal that is financially beneficial before sanctioning an exit. Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, July 16. McIlroy sick of money talk in golf. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Rory McIlroy has expressed his frustration with the constant focus on money in golf. During a recent interview on Sky Bet's Stick to Football podcast, McIlroy admitted that he is sick of the excessive attention given to the financial aspect of the game, stating that most real fans do not resonate. Said McIlroy, "Whenever I dreamt of becoming a professional golfer, it was all about winning trophies and winning major championships. This happens in all sports, but to me, I'm sick of all the money talk in golf because the fans do not care about it. They want to watch good golf and watch people compete against each other. The fans do not care if you're making this or this guy is on $200,000 a week. It just doesn't resonate to them. This comes after the Royal and Ancient Golf Club, the R&A, the governing body of golf, has announced modest increases to the prize money for the 152nd edition of the Open Championship. The decision has raised concerns about the financial sustainability of the much-coveted tournament and the perception of the sport as a whole. The champion at Royal Troon this weekend will receive a record $3.1 million, £2.38 million in prize money, representing a modest increase of just $100,000 from the previous year. The total prize fund for the tournament has been raised to $17 million, £13.1 million, up by a mere $500,000 from the 2023 edition. R&A Chief Executive Martin Slumbers said, "The R&A has a responsibility to strike a balance between maintaining the Open's position in the global game, providing the funds required for governance and developing amateur and recreational golf in 146 countries internationally. We have to make choices if we want to continue to build on the significant growth in participation that is essential for golf's future. We remain concerned about the impact substantial increases in men's professional prize money are having on the perception of the sport and its long-term financial sustainability. We are determined to act with the interests of the global game in mind as we pursue our goal of ensuring golf continues to thrive in 50 years' time." The launch of LIV Golf in 2022, which offers staggering purses of $20 million at each of its events, has prompted the PGA Tour to follow suit by increasing the prize money for several of its signature tournaments. This move is seen as an attempt to prevent more players from defecting to the Saudi-funded breakaway league. The R&A's choice to implement only minor increases in the prize money for the Open has raised concerns about the tournament's ability to maintain its financial sustainability and continue to attract the world's top golfers. Defending Open champion Brian Harman insisted he would be happy playing for less money or even no money at all. The American said in his pre-championship press conference, "Yes, I would personally. I'm not sure everyone would, but I would." Asked why other players would not feel the same, the left-hander added, "Because some people care more about money than I do, I suppose. I play golf for me. I play golf because I enjoy torturing myself with things that are really hard to do. That's just me. Most times when I get done with a tournament, I couldn't tell you within commas of how much that I made that week." Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times Sport, July 16. Complimentary Postecoglou boosted Naismith. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Stephen Naismith could not speak highly enough about Ange Postecoglou as he lifted the lid on his first meeting with the former Celtic boss. Naismith was in the Hearts dugout on a temporary basis when Postecoglou was still fighting for every honour within Scottish football, and he has shared a wholesome story of how the Greek Aussie offered him words of advice even when Celtic's eyes were on winning the league that day. The Hearts head coach stated, "The way he plays was different, and it gets you intrigued. You definitely learn from that. My experience of Ange was when I was caretaker with Hearts. We played Celtic on the day they could win the league, and he did not really need to give me much time of day, but he did. He made a point of it before the game, and was very complimentary. He had never met He probably asked a few people around at Celtic who had worked with me at Scotland. After the game, again he was very complimentary. He just said, if he could ever help, he will be in contact. Then he texted me randomly out of the blue. He didn't need to give me the time of day. He never knew if I would become the manager here or not. For a young coach, that's invaluable to get somebody of his experience to lean on. Fortunately, I have done that since then. Hearts host Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur at Tynecastle Park tomorrow night, with the Edinburgh club getting the opportunity to face strong English Premier League opposition. Asked if Postecoglou was a good ambassador for Scottish football, having endeared himself to supporters both north and south of the border, Naismith replied, in general, yes. He's got the players' backs and the manager's backs. I think he has a good understanding of the game. He's got loads of knowledge and experience. The biggest thing that comes to mind for me is his calmness. At the start with Celtic, he was getting hounded by everybody, but there was a calmness there, and that helped him to be successful in Scotland, and also in the tougher moments with Spurs. I think he appreciated what the product is in Scotland. Not everybody appreciates what it is, but it does have a lot of talent in it. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times Sport, July 16. Southgate steps down as England boss. Report by Jamie Gardner. Gareth Southgate has stood down as England manager, saying it is time for a new chapter for the national team. He announced his decision to quit in a statement issued by the Football Association this morning, following the team's defeat to Spain in the Euro 2024 final on Sunday night. In a statement he said, "As a proud Englishman, it has been the honour of my life to play for England and to manage England. It has meant everything to me, and I have given it my all. But it is time for change and for a new chapter. Sunday's final in Berlin against Spain was my final game as England manager." Southgate took charge in 2016, following the team's exit to Iceland in that summer's Euros and the short-lived reign of Sam Allardyce. Meanwhile, the South American Football Confederation, CONMEBOL, has blamed stadium officials in Miami for the crowd chaos that forced the Copa America final between Argentina and Colombia to be delayed by more than an hour on Sunday. The governing body said the scenes that followed an attempt by thousands of ticketless fans to enter the Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins NFL team, were a consequence of local officials failing to heed proven procedures. A statement read, "As is known, in the final played in Miami, fans without tickets went to the vicinity of the stadium, which delayed the normal access of the people who did have them, which slowed down entry and led to the closure of doors." Given this situation, CONMEBOL was subject to the decisions made by the Hard Rock Stadium authorities, in accordance with the contractual responsibilities established for the security operation. In addition to the provisions determined in said contract, CONMEBOL recommended to said authorities the procedures tested in events of this magnitude, which were not taken into account. We regret that the acts of violence caused by malicious people have tarnished a final that was ready to be a great sporting celebration. Kick-off to the match, which Argentina ultimately won 1-0, was initially pushed back by half an hour before a further 15-minute delay. It finally kicked off more than an hour and 15 minutes later. A statement issued on X, formerly Twitter, by stadium staff on Sunday read, "Thousands of fans without tickets attempted to forcibly enter the stadium, putting other fans, security and law enforcement officers at extreme risk." The statement added that gates had been shut to control the entry process at a much slower rate and ensure everyone was kept safe. Report by Martin McMillan. Evening Times Sport, July 17. Bumper Theo Bear fee revealed. Report by Graham McGarry. Motherwell have sold Theo Bear to French outfit Auxerre for an initial fee of £1.6 million plus a potential £500,000 in future add-ons. The striker, who joined the Fir Park club on a free transfer last summer after an underwhelming spell at St Johnstone, have enjoyed a remarkable turnaround in fortunes under Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell. Bear scored 15 goals in 41 appearances last season after managing just a solitary goal across 31 games in his previous campaign at McDermott Park. That fine form earned him a call-up to Jesse Marsh's Canada squad for this summer's Copa America, where he made an appearance as a second-half substitute in Sunday's third-place playoff match against Uruguay. He now caps off his incredible rise from the football scrap heap with a move to one of Europe's top 5 leagues. Bear told the official Motherwell website, "My time at the club has been unbelievable. These have been some of the most enjoyable moments of my career. I love this club, and I will always be a supporter. I wish everything nothing but the best." In a dramatic day for the Steelmen, the proposed investment offer from American businessman Eric Barmack and his Wild Sheep Sports Organisation has been withdrawn ahead of the results of a shareholder vote being published next Monday. Having held talks with the Motherwell board this week, Barmack decided to withdraw his offer, with significant divisions within the fan base cited as the primary reason behind his decision. The fan-owned club's majority shareholder, the Well Society, had urged its members to vote against the proposed investment, arguing that it had undervalued the club, while Motherwell chairman Jim McMahon and the executive board had recommended that supporters back the deal. In a statement released, the Well Society called upon fans to now come together and get behind their own strategy for growing the club's revenue. The statement read, "The Well Society board would like to acknowledge the statement released confirming that the Wild Sheep Sports investment proposal has now been retracted. We thank Eric and Courtney Barmack for their interest in Motherwell Football Club and hope they remain a strong support for the club. Given our majority stance that the proposal should be rejected, we welcome the news that the process has reached an end, and we look forward to now being able to turn our full attention to furthering our plan for growth, increasing our membership, advancing discussions with potential investors, and ensuring Motherwell Football Club continues to be safeguarded and successful for generations to come. We are, however, disappointed that the decision to withdraw has come in the midst of a member ballot, which will now be suspended. In addition to significant financial cost to the Welsh Society, this period has required significant focus from our members and caused unwelcome uncertainty for supporters. As the majority shareholder in Motherwell Football Club, we have been clear that we are committed to growth and sustainable investment, including working collaboratively with a range of new partners. We have also been clear that partnership means just that, not investment at any cost. We are grateful for the overwhelming support that we have received from members and fans, former players and officials, as well as clubs across the UK and beyond, both in relation to our plan for growth and our position taken on the Wild Sheep Sports investment proposal. Welsh Society members and Motherwell fans have been clear on the need for change, and we agree. As we reflect on these developments, now is the time for a significant reset in the relationship between the club board, the Welsh Society board, society members, and the Motherwell fan base as a whole. The democratic process in recent weeks has been fan ownership in action, boosting society member numbers, increasing membership engagement, and empowering fans to have an input in the direction of their football club, no matter their views. That increasing engagement and empowerment is a positive platform to build upon. We believe that the Welsh Society's recently published perspective for growth, our club, our future, gives us fresh opportunity to work together in true partnership with the club's chief executive, finance director, and new chair leading a new club board. We have today reached out to Chief Executive Ryan Caldwell to begin discussions on the next steps. Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, July 17. Jake Whiteman aiming for Olympic glory, reports Graham McPherson. A milestone birthday went largely unmarked for Jake Whiteman last week. It is a similar story most years when the occasion coincides with the height of the outdoor athletics season. It's a grim number, so I cannot say it was one I was looking forward to, he says with a smile. It's always a funny one when it's July, as you can't do anything for it. I'll do something in the off-season when I can actually enjoy it and relax a bit. Turning 30 is not hugely significant in its own right, but the milestone also serves as another reminder that time is relentlessly marching on. Healthy again after an injury-blighted 2023, the former world champion is preparing to head to his second Olympic Games, fully conscious that it could also be his last. Some athletes believe that time lost to lengthy layoffs can be added on at the end of their careers, but it is not a view that Whiteman subscribes to. Instead, there is a determination to squeeze every last drop out of whatever time and opportunities are left. It will take something special in Paris, likely a gold medal, to surpass the high of toppling the best in the world, including Olympic champion Jakob Ingebrigtsen over 1,500 metres in 2022, but the Scot believes he has what it takes to rack up more magical moments in the years ahead. He offers, Age in sport is different for everyone, depending on your start point and what you've been through to get there. Now that I am 30, I know that I'm not at the start of my career, I'm towards the end. But we don't know yet when that end will be. In 2022, I would be on the start list for races, and I would never be among the oldest. This year though, when they show the dates of birth, I usually am among the oldest, and I'm thinking, geez, that happened quickly. But having missed out last year, it put an emphasis on my 2024 needing to be good, mainly as it's the Olympics, but also because I don't know how many more chances I'll get to go to global championships. I have been making teams since 2014, when I went to the Commies, the Commonwealth Games, so I've been doing this for 10 years now, and had a smooth sailing career up until last year, so I cannot complain too much. When the time comes to look back on my career, 2023 will not be something I even think about. I'll focus on all the good parts. The bad bits will be quickly forgotten about. In the afterglow of Whiteman's seismic victory in Eugene 2 years ago, it would have been impossible to imagine Ingebrigtsen defending his 1500 metres title in Paris without the Scot alongside him. But a series of injuries have dictated otherwise, sending Whiteman into the 800 metres instead, while fellow Scots Josh Kerr and Neil Gourley contest the longer distance in his absence. It is not the route he had mapped out in his head, but he is determined to make the most of this opportunity. And he admits, getting selected was as much relief as anything. I did not really want to think about the alternative, which was not going at all. It probably has more implications for my career that I'm doing the 800. If I run as well over this as I would have hoped to over 1500, it will mean an even greater career, as I will have shown I can do it over multiple events. So I'm excited. If I'm in the final, which I hope to get to, you've got to go there trying to win it. What potentially makes me more dangerous to the others is that they don't race me as much. That makes me a bit more of an unknown. If you get to the final, there are 8 guys, and 3 will come away with a medal. Those are pretty good odds, but the hardest part will be getting there in the first place. That's why I need to treat every round as if it's the final. Missing out on the 1500 metres will unsurprisingly gnaw at him for a while yet. And he admits, I think it will be tough to see that final the day before I race, but there's nothing I can do. My body let me down when I needed it not to. It wasn't that I wasn't good enough. I still have the chance to achieve what I want to, just over a different distance. Whiteman is one of 9 Scots named in the Great Britain athletics team, and with Kerr and Laura Muir both expected to compete for medals, he believes this ought to be considered a golden era for Scottish middle distance running. Adds the Edinburgh AC athlete, the exciting thing is we have so many people running well. The focus is not just on one person. I hope people all over Scotland appreciate, across all sports, the one we seem to be excelling at just now is middle distance athletics. It feels like we're a powerhouse, which is exciting. These games are another chance for us to showcase how good we are. Whiteman was one of several athletes to have cameras follow him everywhere for a new behind-the-scenes documentary, giving detailed insight into the dedication required to reach the top. With £300 million of national lottery investment helping to fund more than 1,100 elite athletes, allowing them to train full-time and have access to the world's best coaches and facilities, the Scot believes the programme provides a chance for lottery devotees to see how their money is spent. And he adds, "It was a cool opportunity, as we do not get many chances to showcase ourselves, not just as athletes, but as people too. We had cameras come with us at training camp and at home to look at what we get up to day. I hope viewers realise that they play a small part in what we do. If you buy a national lottery ticket, then you have contributed to our journey by allowing us to be full-time athletes. I'll miss the premiere as we're away, but I'm sure my girlfriend and my sister will offer critical feedbacks on how I come across in it." Jake Whiteman features in Path to Paris, The Hunt for Gold, a new documentary supported by the National Lottery, airing on Saturday at 5 p.m. on Channel 4. The programme follows British athletes as they prepare for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games and offers a unique insight into how National Lottery players support them on their journey. Reports Graham Macpherson. Evening Times Sport, July 17. Major Rangers Hampden update as Queen's Park offer goodwill gesture. Report by David Irvin. Rangers have been handed a major goodwill gesture from Queen's Park over the use of Hampden, according to a report. It is claimed the Championship side will step back from their deal to return to the National Stadium from September 5 and only move back to the stadium when Rangers do not need it anymore. Queen's Park are currently playing their fixtures at Lesser Hampden, with the Daily Record claiming they will remain at the neighbouring stadium to allow Rangers use of the National Stadium while work continues on the Copeland Road stand at Ibrox. Rangers have already announced they will host matches against Motherwell and Ross County at Hampden in the first month of the Scottish Premiership season. New information on home ties in the Champions League and a potential home fixture in the Premier Sports Cup will be distributed when opponents are confirmed. It is thought discussions between Rangers and Queen's Park resulted in an agreement that a ground-sharing deal, if necessary, would be detrimental to the surface at Hampden and was turned down by Queen's Park. A source told the Daily Record, Queen's Park made it clear to Rangers and to the SFA that they will do whatever is required to help out. If that means postponing their own return to Hampden, then they are prepared to be flexible. The general consensus is that Rangers are likely to remain at Hampden after the Scotland-Poland game on September 5, which means, at this time, Queen's Park do not have confirmed a date for their first game back at the National Stadium. Of course, hopefully the building work at Ibrox will be completed sooner rather than later, but for the time being, there is no way of knowing when it will be completed. But there is a realisation here that one of the biggest clubs in Scotland finds itself in a difficult position and deserves to be shown some goodwill. That's why the SFA and the SPFL have been so keen to help John Bennett find a solution, and why Queen's Park will only move back into Hampden when Rangers do not need it anymore. A Rangers statement on their confirmed use of Hampden read, "Further to last week's update, the club is continuing to work at pace on detailed plans for the transition to the National Stadium. While the Ask Rangers site seeks to address immediate questions, further information will be delivered to our season ticket holders and seasonal hospitality clients as we progress the situation. At this stage, the club can announce our William Hill Scottish Premiership matches with Motherwell on Saturday, August 10, and Ross County on Saturday, August 24, will be played at Hampden, with both matches kicking off at 3 p.m. With draws still to be made for the UEFA Champions League third qualifying round and potential play-off round, plus a potential home tie in the Premier Sports Cup, the club will communicate news on dates and kick-off times for them once the information is confirmed. The club is continuing to work tirelessly on the Copeland Stand project at Ibrox to complete that as soon as possible. As soon as the club can provide a definitive update on matches returning to our home, it will do so. Rangers again puts its record on thanks to the Scottish FA and the SPFL for their considerable work in reaching this solution. Above all, the club thanks our supporters for their ongoing patience and understanding as we deal with this challenge. Report by David Irwin. Evening Times Sport, July 17. Scotland ladies earn Nations League promotion. Report by Robbie Hanratty. In a crucial match for their Euro 2025 aspirations, the Scottish national women's football team emerged victorious against Serbia, securing a 1-0 win at Firhill Stadium. This result not only boosts their chances of making it to the tournament in Switzerland next summer, but also earns them promotion to Nations League A. It was a tightly contested affair, with both teams struggling to show a clinical touch. Aston Villa forward Kirsty Hansen netted the decisive goal from close range, and she believes Scotland were worthy winners. She told BBC Alapa after picking up the Player of the Match award, "It was not easy, but with the work that we have been putting in, I think we just deserved that, and we are over the moon to get it over the line. We wanted to top the group, and that's what we've done, but we've got another big job to come." Serbia started brightly, but it was Scotland who had the first notable attempt when Kirsty Smith's thunderous left-footed shot from 25 yards hit the underside of the crossbar. The visitors had a golden opportunity to take the lead in the first half, but Violeta Slovic's free header from just a couple of yards out sailed over the bar after an in-swimming free kick from the left. Scotland's perseverance paid off in the 39th minute when Liza Evans released Erin Cuthbert down the right, and her low cross was met by Hansen, who tapped the ball home from inside the 6-yard box. Serbia remained a threat throughout the match, and Jovana Damjanovic came close to equalising just before the half-time whistle, but her shot from the edge of the box went just wide. The second half saw both teams create chances, with Chelsea Cornet and Nicola Doherty coming close for Scotland. In the end, the Pedro Martinez Loza's side held firm, and Eartha Cummings produced a brilliant save from a curling effort, ensuring that Scotland secured top spot in qualifying Group B2. The narrow victory means Scotland will go into the Euro 2025 playoff draw on Friday as a seeded team, enhancing the probability of making it to the much-anticipated tournament in Switzerland next year. Asked for her assessment of the game, Hansen continued, "We knew Serbia were a very good team. They will come out, they will find different ways to exploit our weaknesses. But we were patient and we just fought every battle, and I think everyone won their 1-versus-1s. I'm just proud to be part of this team. These players come and work so hard for the team. It's just about making them proud and making sure the fans had something to celebrate tonight, and we did that." Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times, July 18. Ange Postecoglou back in Scotland. Report by Graham McGarry. Ange Postecoglou was back in Scotland this week, and after watching his side rack up a 5-1 win over Hearts at Tynecastle, the former Celtic manager was effusive in his praise of his old club as he looked back on his special time living in the country. Postecoglou was idolised by the Celtic support during his 2 trophy-laden seasons in Glasgow, and the feeling was more than mutual, it appears, with the Australian waxing lyrical about the club's fan base and thanking them for the backing they have shown him. Said Postecoglou, "I love my time here. It's such an unbelievable club, Celtic, and the support I had from day one was unbelievable. But I enjoyed my whole time up here. My family did. I did. It was a great 2 years, and I always look back on it with great fondness. Obviously we had success, which helps in that. But aside from that, the life we lived and the people we met, it will always be a special time in our lives." Postecoglou appreciates the support he is still receiving from north of the border, as he looks to succeed where so many others have failed in bringing silverware to Spurs, with his experiences here helping to ready him for the demands of competing in the English Premier League. And he continued, "The press prepared me well for it, mate. I've enjoyed it. It's a massive club. It's an unbelievable league, and it's a challenge every week. The best players, the managers, are there, and you're testing yourself every week. It's what I want to do. It's where I want to be. I'm enjoying it, but I'm very, very focused about bringing success to it." Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, July 18. Graham McGarry says, "Celtic must offer pathway after Kelly becomes latest concern." When Celtic released news recently of a revamp to their academy coaching setup, it rather brought to mind the old metaphor about rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. No matter the configuration, the outcome has long seemed preordained. The issues with youth development in Scotland are widespread and cannot be laid at the door of any one club, even the biggest of them. And I am aware that there has been a similar dearth of talent filtering through at Rangers, lest I be accused of ignoring similar issues at Auchenhowie. But given that reshuffle behind the scenes at Lennoxtown and the ongoing contract dispute between young prospect Daniel Kelly and the club at this moment in time, it seems an opportune moment to examine just what it is that the Celtic Academy is looking to achieve. Is it to produce players for the Celtic first team? Because if that is the ultimate goal, then there is no escaping the fact that it has long failed to do so. Captain Callum McGregor and James Forrest came through the ranks to be mainstays of the side, but they are both now the wrong side of 30. Kieran Tierney made the club a bucket load of cash after some hugely successful seasons in the team, but he left 5 years ago next month. After that, well, Mikey Johnson has floated around the periphery for an eternity. He is now 25 and comes back to the club this summer after a successful loan spell at West Brom. If he was ever going to be a Celtic regular, surely it would have happened by now. A fresh start would be best for all parties. Stephen Welsh. The defender is now 24 and has made just 66 appearances for Celtic in his entire career. Anthony Ralston is a dependable if unspectacular deputy at right back. It's not a great return, no matter how you slice it. Is it the coaching? Chris McCart, long-time head of the academy, is a respected operator within the game. Beneath him, former Celtic players are everywhere you look. Johnny Hayes is the latest to join up as B-team coach under B-team manager Stephen McManus. Darren O'Day is now the club's professional pathways manager. This is not to necessarily say that these men are not the right ones for these jobs, but there is no escaping the whiff of jobs for the boys around such appointments, as accomplished as these coaches may be, if you keep doing the same things and all that. Celtic are, of course, stuck between something of a rock and a hard place these days. Since Brexit, especially, English Premier League clubs, who were once able to hoover up the best of the young talent across the continent, are now paying much closer attention to prospects within the British Isles. They obviously have much deeper pockets than even the old firm, and as soon as a truly outstanding prospect emerges, they are invariably lured down south. It happened with Billy Gilmour at Rangers before it happened with Ben Doak at Celtic, and the elite young players will continue to be picked off. That leaves Celtic with the rest. Players who may well be of a decent level, but are they really of the standard to make a difference for the Celtic first team? Time will tell in the case of the likes of Rocco Vata, who swapped Glasgow for Watford this summer in frustration at a lack of first-team opportunities. Kelly looks to be going the same way. The question is, as much as these youngsters have to earn an opportunity, is the onus on Brendan Rodgers, or whatever Celtic manager is in situ, to trust them a little more? It is far too simplistic an argument to say that the likes of Lamine Yamal, tearing it up for Barcelona in Spain, having just turned 17 the day before he picked up a winner's medal at the Euros, would not get a sniff in Scotland, as I've heard many a time over the past 2 weeks. Nonsense. If there was a player of that level in any academy in this country, the only way he would not be playing here is because he would already have been snaffled by one of the super clubs. But there is certainly a case to say that many of Celtic's youngsters, who often find themselves log-jammed behind some pretty mediocre imports that clog up the Celtic squad, do not reach their full potential because they are not being given enough opportunities at first-team level at an early stage of their careers. And no, turning out for the B team in the Lowland League is not the same thing. With the greatest of respect, would it have been too much of a risk to throw in Kelly ahead of, say, Tomoki Iwata against a Livingston, Ross County or St Johnstone? Would Vata have managed to match the creative output of, say, Nicholas Kuhn, who got 3 goals and 3 assists across 14 league appearances since arriving for £3 million in January? We'll never know. In fairness to Rodgers, he sees these players every day in training, and he is correct to say that pulling on a Celtic jersey is a privilege to be earned, rather than the right of any player who has come through the academy setup. But surely there has to be an established pathway for young players to follow. The deeper they get into their careers, and as they even edge towards retirement, it is getting harder and harder to hold up McGregor or Forrest as the poster boys for what a young player at Celtic can achieve. Beyond the elite facilities you would have access to, why would any promising young player out there join the club? It's getting harder to argue it with a view to actually playing for Celtic. And it must be getting harder for the club to sell that dream, says Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, July 18. Justin Leonard hits first shot at the Open. Report by Carol Markham. Former champion Justin Leonard got the 152nd Open Championship underway at Troon in overcast and breezy conditions. The 52-year-old, who has an exemption for another 8 years as a result of his victory here in 1997, has not appeared in a major since the Open was last in Ayrshire in 2016, as he now plays on the Champions Tour. Before the first shot at 6:36 a.m, there was a moment of reflection for Ivor Robson, the official Open starter for more than 50 years, who died in October and whose family were present on the tee. In a stiffening wind, blowing into their faces in a different direction from which the players practiced, Leonard parred the first hole alongside another Troon champion in Todd Hamilton, who at 58 has only 2 years left in the event. He holed a testing 12-footer to also make 4. The third member of the group, local qualifier Jack McDonald, whose granddad is an honorary member at the club, also made par after his long birthday putt came up just short. The current likely contenders for the Claret Jug were not due out until later in the day, with Rory McIlroy looking to put last month's United States Open near miss behind him when he tees off. Evening Times Sport, July 18. Golf Chief says, "I don't care." Report by Phil Casey. R&A Chief Executive Martin Slumbers insists he does not care that the Open Championship prize fund is not among the top 25 in men's professional golf. The R&A announced minimal increases to prize money for the 152nd Open amid concern about the impact on financial sustainability and the perception of men's professional golf. The winner at Royal Troon will receive a record $3.1 million United States dollars, £2.38 million, an increase of just $100,000. The total prize fund of $17 million, £13.1 million, is up by just $500,000 on last year and is less than the other 3 majors, 12 PGA Tour events and all 14 LIV golf events. A, I didn't know, and B, I don't care, Slumbers said in his last pre-Open press conference before he steps down in November. While we will always offer a very competitive prize fund for the Open, our wider focus is on increasing participation and improving pathways in golf. We have to make choices about how we allocate resources and make the resources we have go as far as they can. Our responsibility is to ensure the game is thriving 50 years from now. I am not worried about being a lone voice. Sometimes leadership is lonely, but I do think it is important that we do use our voice, and I think there's more people who are hearing than not hearing. A total of 158 players, rather than the usual 156, are contesting the 152nd Open after more past champions than expected opted to play at Royal Troon, with 18 players from LIV Golf in the field. But while United States GA Chief Executive Mike Hwan said that last month he is serious about creating a formal pathway for LIV players into the United States Open, Slumbers suggested that was not necessary for the Open, and he said, "We decided after last year's event that we wanted to ensure that there was sufficient enough opportunities for all players, whichever tour they're playing on, to get into the Open. We used our Open qualifying series. We picked events that were available for all players. We used the Asian Tour, and we used final qualifying to create those opportunities. Will that evolve in the coming years? I think that depends on how the game evolves, but we will continue to want the best players in the world to be able to get into the Open in an appropriate way." As for future venues, Slumbers said that the Open was absolutely going to return to Muirfield for the first time since 2013, although that might necessitate the Scottish Open, which is held the week before the Open, being moved from the adjacent Renaissance Club. The possibility of staging the Open outside the UK for the first time also remains on the agenda, with Portmarnock having asked the Irish government for support in putting forward a business case to stage the event. Said Slumbers, "We are fully supportive of the club doing that, and we are actively engaged in making those assessments, but no decisions have been made because we don't even know if it is possible." Report by Phil Casey. Evening Times Sport, July 19. Rory McIlroy surprised by play of Royal Troon back nine. Report by Ewan Payton. Rory McIlroy admits the back nine caught him by surprise on day one of the Open. The Northern Irishman struggled at Royal Troon with a final round score of +7. It was far from vintage from the world ranked number 2, as he gave himself a stringent second round task with little to no margin for error if making the cut is to be achieved. One stat he will definitely not want to see if that, since 2000, only 5% of players who shoot 78 or higher in round one of the Open have come back to make the cut. Sorry, Rory. He'll not go down without a fight though, with four-time major champion proving in the past that he can claw things back. The 35-year-old said, "I felt I did okay for the first part of the round, and then missed the green at the postage stamp and left it in and made a double, but still felt like I was in reasonable enough shape, being a couple over through 9, thinking that I could maybe get those couple of shots back, trying to shoot even par, something like that, then hitting the ball out of bounds on 11, making a double there. Even though the wind on the back 9 was helping, It was a lot off the left. I was actually surprised how difficult I felt the back nine played. I thought we were going to get it a little bit easier than we did. The course was playing tough. The conditions are very difficult in a wind that we haven't seen so far this week. I guess when that happens, you play your practice rounds. You have a strategy that you think is going to help you get around the golf course. But then, when you get a wind you have not played in, it starts to present different options, and you start to think about maybe hitting a few clubs that you have not hit in practice. Yes, just one of those days where I just did not adapt well enough to the conditions. I just think that your misses get punished. Your misses get punished a lot more this week than even last week, or even any weeks. Whether you miss it in a fairway bunker or even the rough, the balls that I hit in the rough today, the lies were pretty nasty. I think it's more you just get penalised more for your misses. Bryson DeChambeau also suffered an opening round to forget. The American was 5 over for the day. The 30-year-old got off to a nightmare start with 4 bogeys and a double bogey on the front 9. He recovered well enough to finish strongly with a 1 under score on the back 9, giving him a total of 76 for the day. And he commented on his early issues. It was in and off the right, and I was trying to draw the ball, and the ball was knuckling a little bit. It was a really difficult challenge, and I should have just cut the ball. It's a completely different test from practicing. I didn't get any practice in it, and I didn't really play much in the rain. Yes, it's a difficult test out here, something I'm not familiar with. I never grew up playing it, and not to say that that's the reason. I finished 8th at St Andrews. I can do it when it's warm and not windy. Fellow American compatriot and legend Tiger Woods finished 8 over. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, July 19. Rangers starlet opens up on health battle after rare cancer diagnosis. Report by Sanja Suresh. A brave Glaswegian schoolgirl is sharing her ordeal with a rare type of cancer in a film produced by a cancer charity. 11-year-old Morven MacDonald was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma in January 2019 at the age of 7. Her story is now produced by the National Childhood Cancer Charity, Children with Cancer UK, as part of Sarcoma Awareness Month this July. Morven's journey started when her mother, Cara, noticed her left eyelid dropping. Thinking it was the development of a lazy eye, Cara took her to the optician. Cara said a tumour was found and a biopsy followed. A very long and terrifying week later we were given the results that it was cancer. It was found the cancer was localised, but would need immediate treatment of 9 rounds of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. Our world was turned upside down. In September 2020, after months of treatment, we were given the news that the cancer had gone and the treatment had been successful. She is now almost 3 years all clear, and we cannot even believe it happened. All we can do is hope and pray she stays well. Morven, a passionate footballer, revealed her future aspirations in the film, saying her greatest achievement so far was to be signed by Rangers Academy. She said, To play for Chelsea and have 5 Ballon d'Ors when I'm 21, I achieve high. Morven's film can be viewed. She encouraged other young people going through cancer, stating that they do not have to stop just because they are in hospital. And she continued, "Whenever you get a chance, get out, keep fit, and just do the things you want to do. You don't need to think of yourself as different to anyone else." Amar Naher, Chief Executive Officer of Children with Cancer UK, said, "We are delighted to hear Morven is thriving, and we are very grateful she is helping us raise awareness about sarcoma during Sarcoma Awareness Month. We believe that every child and young person deserves to have their whole life ahead of them, but cancer is still the biggest cause of death in children under the age of 15. Faster diagnosis of childhood, teenage and young adult cancers and better, kinder treatments mean more children will survive without the life-inhibiting side effects that can often come with remission. Children with Cancer UK invested more than £4 million into life-saving research in 2023, funding 10 research projects. Evening Times Sport, July 19. St Mirren will head to Iceland. Report by David Irvin. St Mirren will face Valur in the UEFA Conference League. Stephen Robinson's side enter the competition in the second qualifying round next week, and it is the Icelandic club Valur who they will face as they return to European competition for the first time since 1987. Valur progressed into the second qualifying round after overcoming Albanian opponents Vllaznia in a two-leg contest. The Icelandic club, who have Gylfi Sigurdsson on their books, won 4-0 away in Skoda after a 2-2 draw in Reykjavik last Thursday. St Mirren now know their opponents before the game next Thursday and the return match in Paisley on August 1. The Paisley club expect to have an allocation of around 200 for the away match. Manager Robinson previously insisted St Mirren would not simply be content to feature in the competition, as he targets an extended stay. And he said yesterday, "We want to progress in it. We are not just happy to be there. It's been a hell of a long time since St Mirren have been there, but that is not the atmosphere and desire that I believe the staff have created at the football club. It is an opportunity. In previous years, Scottish clubs have not progressed as far as we would want, and it is an opportunity for players to put themselves on the map and the football club. Fans are happy. We did not get any Northern Ireland teams, so it actually feels like a proper European draw. It is something we are going to embrace, but not something we are just happy to be there. We have to be better than that mentality-wise, and that's exactly what we will be." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, July 22. Rangers Champions League qualifying opponents revealed. Report by David Irvin. Rangers have been drawn against the winners of Dynamo Kyiv and FK Partizan in the Champions League third qualifying round. The Ibrox club will face a trip away to either the Ukrainian or Serbian club before the return leg in Scotland. The matches are scheduled to be played on August 6 or 7 and then on August 13. A Rangers statement after the draw read, "We will face FC Dynamo Kiev or FK Partizan in the Champions League third qualifying round. Supporters should not make any travel arrangements for either leg until all the details for the matches have been confirmed by UEFA. This should be communicated later this week. Ticketing information for both legs will be announced in the days following the confirmation of the details. Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, July 22. Rodgers provides Celtic transfer update. Report by David Irvin. Brendan Rodgers has revealed he wants to sign 2 strikers at Celtic this summer. The Parkhead manager is keen to operate with 3 forwards for the upcoming season. Currently, Kyogo Furuhashi is the sole first-team striker in the building at Celtic. Adam Ida is back at Norwich after his loan spell. O left the club for Genk in a permanent deal, and Rocco Vata joined Watford. It leaves Rodgers light in the attacking third. Celtic have been linked with a swoop for Ida on a permanent deal, but Norwich Chiefs have insisted the player is part of plans there. For Rodgers, the ideal scenario would be to have 3 strikers at his disposal, 2 top forwards, and then bringing through a youngster. That role had been earmarked for Vata before the youngster chose to head down south instead of penning a new contract at Celtic. As quoted by the Scottish Sun, Rodgers said, "My ideal scenario would be to have 3 strikers. The plan was for us to have Kyogo, 1 other, and bring through a youngster. That was the role we came up with for Rocco. It's very difficult for a club of this size to have 3 top strikers. You can live with 2 because we play so many games, and the specific nature of them means we can change it about. 3 is difficult. But I also thought it would be good for development to bring in a young player from within. Rocco was that, but he has moved on." Meanwhile, Celtic are throwing out a last-ditch transfer bid for O'Reilly. Atalanta was the club that submitted that last-ditch transfer bid. It's claimed the Serie A club have upped their offer to sign the midfielder in a deal worth £15.5 million. However, it is also claimed Celtic Chiefs will throw out this most recent bid. An initial bid this summer was rejected by Celtic, with the club holding out for a record fee for the midfielder. Transfer specialist Fabrizio Romano added Atalanta have sent a new bid for O'Reilly, worth 17 to 18 million euros package. Celtic want more, as club sources confirm, but negotiations are underway to make it happen. Meanwhile, Rodgers hailed O'Reilly after the 4-0 win over DC United, in which the playmaker netted twice as he captained the Celtic side. The Parkhead boss insisted O'Reilly's first-class attitude has not changed despite the speculation over that summer transfer exit. Said Rodgers, "His attitude has been first-class. There's absolutely been no change in match demeanour. I think he knows the privileges of playing for Celtic, and he knows what Celtic have given him. It's not a burden for him to be at Celtic. He has developed into a fantastic player. When you do what, there's always going to be speculation and interest. You will always work on improving and developing. He has a first-class attitude. He knows what the situation is and captained the team. He's a fantastic professional." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, July 22. Schmeichel reveals what excites him about Celtic. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Kasper Schmeichel has made no secret what his incentive is when joining Celtic. The Danish international, who famously won the English Premier League with Leicester City in 2016, became Brendan Rodgers' second summer signing over the weekend and is targeting adding more silverware to his CV during his time at the Scottish Giants. Trophies, he declared, after being asked what his main objective is at his new club. It's what football is about. Football is about winning, and coming to a club with such a rich history of winning, a culture of draws, are not enough. The only thing that matters is winning. That's one thing I really love about this club. Its mentality. You have to go out and win every competition that you're in. So I can't wait to get back playing football again. Schmeichel has been brought in to replace Joe Hart as Celtic's number one goalkeeper, alongside Biljamo Sinisalo. The 27-year-old confessed he's actually been in regular discussion with Hart before putting pen to paper on a deal, and he knows he's got to live up to the high standards set by his predecessor. I feel great, the experienced shot-stopper told Celtic TV. It's been a long journey, but it feels good to be here. I'm really happy. I spoke to Joe Hart many times during the time he was here and leading up to his retirement, and he only had good things to say. Obviously, I started following Celtic as a club when he joined and saw the admiration the fans had for him, and he got an incredible send-off and fully deserved, so they're big shoes to fill. In addition to witnessing his new teammates in action for the first time, Schmeichel also had the opportunity to meet some of the numerous Celtic fans who gathered at Audi Field to support the Hoops during their 4-0 friendly win over DC United on Saturday night. This experience highlighted the immense following of the current Scottish Premiership champions, and he acknowledged, I played in Scotland many years ago, and I know the size of Celtic, but I've come off holiday, and there were Celtic fans at the hotel that I was staying at, and even when I flew, there were Celtic fans on the plane on the way to watch this game, so it is incredible to see. But it just goes to show the size of the club. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times Sport, July 22. A procession leads to a coronation, says Nick Rodger. 8 years ago, here at Royal Troon, we got a titanic 2-horse race as Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson conjured an Open Championship duel for the ages. Ahead of the final round of the 152nd Championship yesterday, there were so many runners and riders bunched up on the leaderboard. It resembled the chaotic tangled start to that infamous void at Grand National. By tea time, though, the thoroughbred that is Xander Schauffele was first past the post as he gently cantered home like a cuddy out for a clippity clop on Troon Beach. And if we shoehorn any more excruciating equine references into this introduction, we'll have to pay a subscription to the British Horse Society. In the end, it was a procession to a coronation. Schauffele was superb as he added the claret jug to the United States PGA Championship crown he won earlier this season. His record in the 4 majors of 2024 reads 8th, 1st, 7th, 1st. It is a tremendous body of work. In his previous 6 Open outings, Shoffley had finished outside the leading 26 just once. This was a triumph that had been coming, and it was completed with great aplomb. A wonderfully assembled bogey-free 6 under 65 gave the 30-year-old a 9 under aggregate and a 2-shot victory over the valiant duo of Justin Rose and Billy Horschel. During the course of this exacting test of physical, mental and technical resolve on the Ayrshire coast, Shoffley spilled just 6 shots all week. He was a thoroughly deserving champion golfer of the year. For the first time since 1982, American golfers have made a clean sweep of the major titles. Tom Watson was the winner of the Open that year at Troon. Once Shoffley got his nose in front yesterday, nobody was going to stick a star-spangled spanner in his works. All the very tip-top, smiled a calm, composed Shoffley when asked how his final round rated on his order of merit. It's the best round I've played. In this game, winning ain't easy. It was hard, added Shoffley. I think winning the first major helped me a lot today on the back nine. I had some feelings of calmness coming through. That was very helpful in what has been one of the hardest back nines I have ever played in a tournament. It's a dream come true to win 2 majors in 1 year. It took me forever just to win 1. To have 2 is something else. Shoffley won the Scottish Open in 2022. Having completed a double whammy in the cradle of the game, he emphasised the importance of that triumph 2 years ago. Winning the Scottish Open was big because it meant my game could travel, said the new world number 2, who now moves on to Paris to defend his Olympic title. To double up and win a major in Scotland is even cooler. Open Sunday had dawned with Horschel holding a 1-shot lead and playing in the final group of the final round of a major for the first time. Some 24 players were separated by 6 shots. The R&A officials had the jaws of life apparatus on hand in case they needed to prise them apart. In a tightly packed scene that would have left sardines gasping, Shoffley was lurking just 2 shots back and would pounce as affairs began to unravel. The unheralded Daniel Brown, just 1 back, faded away early, as did Sam Burns. Shane Lowry, the Open champion 2019, made a run at it with 4 birdies and 5 holes from the 4th, but the Irishman could not maintain the push. As Horschel traded birdies and bogeys, Scottish Scheffler, the world number 1, had been manoeuvred himself into position, but he saw his hopes savagely wounded by an uncharacteristic 3-putt double bogey on the 9th. Rose, aiming for the first English win in the Open since 1992, was well in it too, but a bogey on 12 was a costly slip. At one point it was the South African Tristan Lawrence, looking to emulate the Open win of his decorated compatriot Bobby Locke in this parish back in 1950, who had assumed command. The 27-year-old got to the 7 under mark through the turn, but he too would come a cropper on the 12th. That slip opened the door for Shoffley, and he would mount a decisive title-winning thrust. Having pulled a brilliant birdie out of the hat on the 11th, the Californian picked up birdies in the 13th and the 14th to move 2 clear before another gain on the 16th gilded the lily. I looked up at the board there, and I knew if I could birdie 16, then that would be special, he said, as he gave himself the kind of sizable cushion you'd get in a Bedouin tent. Once I hit the green on 17, I had to really try to focus and not let my mind wander too much. That walk up 18 truly is the coolest, with the yellow leaderboards and the fans and the standing ovation. I got chills walking down there. Rose, who was also striving to become the first qualifier since Paul Lawrie in 1999 to win the Open, birdied the last in a gallant 67. Horschel made a stout-hearted surge and birdied his last 3 holes in a 68. It was too little, too late though. Schauffele was already celebrating another major moment, says Nick Roger.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service